He was dying in a guarded bedroom, and Tessa still had his ring pressed into her palm like evidence. What do you do when power chooses you? Have you ever been pushed into a role you never wanted? She's a waitress, not a fixer. Yet the whole house expects her to lead. Stay to the end because the reason he married her will hit hard. The air smelled wrong. Blood on silk, bleach trying to hide it, and something else. Clove, faint near the doorframe. Tessa's borrowed dress didn't fit right. The cuff hung loose, showing a rust-colored stain she hadn't noticed until now. Her hands stayed locked around his, not because she wanted to, but because letting go felt like giving up. Vincent Corvino's breath came shallow and uneven. His grip was weak, but his thumb moved once slow, across her ring finger, brushing the gold band he'd slid there days ago. Felt like a vow and a trap at once. Intimate, terrifying. Outside the door, boots shuffled. Guns waited. Men who followed orders, not conscience. I didn't ask for this, Tessa whispered. Vincent's eyes cracked open, darker than before. You did. The second you stood in front of my son. His son, Evan. The boy the world treated like a problem. The boy Vincent was dying to protect. Someone inside wants him taken, Vincent rasped. Swear you'll stop them. I don't know how. Swear it. Tessa's throat burned. She nodded once, small and sharp, like a signature. A security chief pushed the door open halfway. His face was stone, voice colder. You're next of kin now. Act like it. Next of kin. She'd been a waitress last week. Now she was expected to command a house full of armed strangers and relatives who smiled with teeth. Somewhere down the hall, wheels rolled across hardwood. Slow. Steady. Too late for visiting hours. Tessa's spine stiffened. She looked at Vincent, but his eyes had closed again. The wheelchair was coming closer. Comment stay, if you'd fight for someone the world treats like a problem. Hours earlier, a champagne tower shattered, and a man in a designer suit yelled for security to drag the crippled kid away. The gala had been loud. Bass thumping through marble floors. Camera flashes popping like small explosions. Polished smiles that didn't reach eyes. Tessa balanced 3 trays at once, counted tips in her head, and thought about her mom's oxygen tank bill sitting unpaid on the kitchen counter. Thought about her sister's care review getting delayed again because the state caseworker kept rescheduling. She didn't have time to notice the guest list. Didn't care who wore what or who donated how much. Her job was simple: move fast, smile small, don't spill. Then the tower came down. Glass hit marble in slow motion. Droplets catching light. Fizz spreading across polished stone like a stain no one could hide. And in the middle of the chaos stood a boy in a wheelchair, shaking, hands pressed over his ears. Evan. He was maybe 19, thin, pale, eyes squeezed shut against the noise. His legs hung slack in the chair, and his breath came fast and broken, like he couldn't pull enough air. A man in a 3-piece suit pointed at Evan like he was trash. Get that kid out of here. Now. Security moved. Tessa didn't think. She stepped between them and the boy. Her tray hit the floor. Shrimp skewers scattered. Her manager's face went red across the room. But Tessa didn't look back. The security guard reached for Evan's chair. Tessa blocked him with her body. Don't touch him. The guard stopped. Not out of kindness. Out of confusion. He's having a meltdown, Tessa said, voice low. You grab him, you make it worse. The room went quiet. Not the good kind. The kind where everyone waits to see blood. A guest grabbed Tessa's wrist, fingers tight, pulling her back. Your staff. Move. The touch was wrong. Controlling. It made Tessa's stomach twist. She yanked her arm free and made a promise to herself right there. No one gets to handle me like that. Not ever again. She turned back to Evan. His breathing was sharp, panicked. His hands trembled against his ears. Hey, Tessa said, soft. Left or right? Quiet corner or outside? Evan didn't answer, but his eyes opened a crack. Across the ballroom, a man in black watched. Tall, still, eyes like cold water. Vincent Corvino. She didn't know his name yet, but she felt his stare land on her and stay there. Tessa kept her voice calm. I'm not touching you. Just tell me, left or right. Evan's hand lifted, shaking. He pointed left. Tessa nodded. Okay, let's go. She didn't push the wheelchair, didn't grab him, just walked beside him, slow, letting him follow the rhythm of her steps. Behind her, the crowd murmured, judged, filmed. Her job was over. She knew that, but she kept walking anyway. Tessa doesn't touch Evan. She gives him choices, and the whole room acts like that's rebellion. Outside the ballroom, the noise dropped. The hallway was cooler, quieter. Evan's breathing slowed, but his hands stayed clenched. Tessa found a corner near a service door, far from the bass and the lights. She crouched low, not in his space, just close enough. Loud? She asked. Evan nodded once. Okay, want me to talk or stay quiet? He didn't answer. His eyes tracked the floor, the wall, anywhere but her face. Tessa tapped the table edge beside him. Slow, steady. 1, 2, 3. A rhythm. No words, just sound he could predict. Evan's head tilted. He watched her hand. Then, after a long moment, his own hand lifted. He tapped his armrest. Same rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Tessa matched him. Kept it going. No rush. No pressure. The panic in Evan's eyes started to ease. His shoulders dropped half an inch. His breath evened out. Behind them, the ballroom doors opened. Guests spilled into the hallway, voices rising again. Some looked curious. Most looked disgusted. A woman in diamonds whispered loud enough to hear, "Why doesn't someone just take that boy home?" Tessa's jaw tightened. She didn't turn around, didn't defend, just kept the rhythm going. Then the crowd went silent for a different reason. Vincent Corvino stepped through the doorway. No rush, no announcement, but the air changed. Fear dressed up as respect. He moved like a man who'd never been told no. Security flanked him, but he didn't need them. His presence did the work. Vincent stopped 3 feet from Tessa. She felt his stare before she looked up. His voice was low, controlled. Tessa Morgan. She froze. He knew her name, her full legal name, and she'd never introduced herself. Tessa stood slowly, pulse hammering. "How do you?" "I know everything," Vincent said. Not a brag. A fact. Evan made a small sound. Not words, just noise. But Vincent's eyes flicked to his son, softened for half a second, then went cold again when they returned to Tessa. "You work for Hamilton Events," Vincent continued. 3 months. Cash tips only. You take the bus home to Patterson. Your mom has stage 3 emphysema. Your sister needs a group home review. And you're 2 weeks from eviction. Tessa's skin went cold. Every private fear she carried, he'd just laid them out like receipts. "Why are you telling me this?" she whispered. Vincent stepped closer. Close enough that she smelled his cologne. Cedar and smoke. Expensive. Dangerous. "Because I'm offering you a job." Tessa's breath caught. "I already have one. Not after tonight." He was right. Her manager had already fired her with his eyes from across that ballroom. Vincent's stare didn't waver. Evan needs someone who sees him as a person, not a problem. You just proved you can do that. "I'm not a nurse. I have nurses. I need a companion. Someone he trusts." Tessa looked at Evan. He was still tapping the armrest. Still breathing steady. Still calm because she'd given him space instead of control. "And if I say no?" Tessa asked. Vincent's mouth curved. Not a smile. A warning. "Then you go home tonight and hope your landlord is patient. Hope your sister's review doesn't get lost in the system. Hope your mom's oxygen supplier takes late payments." He wasn't threatening her. He was showing her the threat already existed. And he was the only exit. Tessa tasted metal on her tongue. Stress. Fear. Like she'd bitten a coin. Vincent leaned in. His breath touched her ear. "People are watching my son. Rivals who love public scenes. Cameras. Weakness. You standing in front of him tonight? That made you visible. And visible is dangerous unless you're protected." He pulled back. His eyes held hers. Cold. Assessing. But something else lived underneath. Heat. Attention from men like him was never harmless. 24 hours, Vincent said. Think about it. He turned and walked back toward the ballroom. Security followed. The crowd parted like water. Tessa stood there, heart pounding, hands shaking. Evan tapped his armrest again. 1, 2, 3. She looked down at him. He was watching her now. Really watching. Like he'd just decided she mattered. Behind her, a voice spoke. Quiet. Too close. He already knows you'll say yes. Vincent doesn't ask who she is. He proves he knows everything she tried to hide. The car door shut behind Tessa with a heavy click. Locks engaged. Manhattan disappeared behind tinted glass. And suddenly the world felt smaller. She'd said yes. Of course she had. What choice did she have? Her mom needed oxygen. Her sister needed stability. And Tessa needed to eat. But sitting across from Vincent Corvino in the back of a black SUV, she realized saying yes wasn't the same as being safe. Vincent didn't speak right away. He watched her, studied her, like she was a contract he was deciding whether to sign. You take the 107 bus, he said finally. Tuesdays and Thursdays, you stop at the pharmacy on Market Street. You buy your mom's prescriptions in cash because insurance denied the claim 3 times. Tessa's stomach dropped. Vincent kept going. You eat lunch in the park near the library. Same bench. You skip dinner most nights. Your phone is 2 months from being shut off. And last week, you pawned your grandmother's necklace to cover your sister's activity fee at the group home. Tessa's throat tightened. Stop. Why? You think I'd hire someone without knowing who they are? You had me followed. I had you protected, Vincent corrected. The second you stepped between security and my son, you became a target. Attention invites problems, Miss Morgan. I don't let problems grow. Tessa's hands clenched in her lap. So what is this? A job or surveillance? Both. She wanted to argue, wanted to walk out, but the door was locked, and even if it wasn't, where would she go? Back to Patterson? Back to eviction notices and shut-off warnings? Vincent leaned forward. Not aggressive, controlled, but the heat of him filled the small space between them. She caught the scent of his cologne again. Cedar, smoke, something darker underneath. It rattled her. My son is autistic and partially paralyzed, Vincent said, voice low. That makes him vulnerable. Rivals see him as leverage. Family sees him as inconvenient. The world sees him as broken. You saw him as a person who needed space. Tessa swallowed hard. So you want me to babysit? I want you to keep him alive. The words landed heavy. Final. Someone's going to try something, Vincent continued. A public incident. A staged accident. Something that makes him look unstable so they can argue for a facility placement. Once he's out of my house, he's out of my protection. You understand? Tessa nodded slowly. Good. Vincent sat back. You'll move into the estate. Private room. Full salary. Your mom's treatments covered. Your sister's care paid through next year. Your debts cleared by Monday. It sounded like a dream, which meant it was a trap. And if I mess up? Tessa asked. Vincent's eyes went colder. You won't. But if I do? He didn't answer right away, just watched her. Then he leaned close again. Too close. His breath touched her neck. Not a flirtation. Domination. And it still made her pulse spike. If you mess up, Vincent whispered, you won't need to worry about eviction notices. Tessa's skin prickled. She forced herself to meet his eyes. Are you threatening me? I'm showing you the stakes. He pulled back. Calm. Controlled. Like he hadn't just made her heart race for all the wrong reasons. The SUV turned onto a side street. Tessa glanced out the window and froze. They were on her street. Her actual street. The one she'd never told him. Vincent smiled. Just barely. I told you. I know everything. Tessa's hands shook. How long have you been watching me? Long enough. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. The car stopped in front of her building. The driver didn't move. Vincent waited, watching her face like he could read every thought she tried to hide. Pack light, he said. You leave in the morning. Tessa reached for the door handle. Clicked open. She stepped out onto the sidewalk, legs unsteady. Before she could walk away, Vincent spoke again. Miss Morgan. She turned back. His eyes held hers. Dark. Unreadable. You made a choice tonight. Don't make me regret giving you one. The door shut. The car pulled away. And Tessa stood there on the street, heart pounding, knowing she just signed a contract she couldn't read. Would you take the job to protect your family, even if it scares you? Comment yes or no. The car door shuts, locks click, and Manhattan disappears behind tinted glass. Morning came too fast. Tessa packed one bag, clothes, toothbrush, a photo of her mom and sister. Everything else stayed behind, gathering dust in an apartment she wouldn't be returning to. The SUV arrived at 6 a.m. Same driver. Same tinted windows. No conversation. They crossed the river into New Jersey. The city skyline shrank in the rearview mirror, and trees started to replace concrete. Tessa pressed her forehead against the glass, watching the world shift from cramped to sprawling. The estate appeared behind iron gates and brick walls. Tall, guarded. The kind of place that didn't show up on maps. Tessa's pulse quickened. The seatbelt cut into her collarbone. She adjusted it. Again, like she could adjust her fate. The gates opened. The car rolled through. Cameras tracked every inch. Staff waited near the entrance. 3 men, 2 women, all dressed in dark uniforms, all standing too straight. Their smiles were fast and forced. Eyes dropped to the ground the second Tessa looked at them. Welcome, Miss Morgan, one of them said. Polite, empty. Tessa nodded, didn't speak. She'd learned young. When you don't know the rules, stay quiet and watch. Inside, the house was cold. Not temperature, atmosphere. High ceilings, marble floors, furniture that looked expensive but unused. Everything perfect, everything staged. A woman in scrubs led Tessa upstairs. Mr. Corvino asked me to show you to Evan's wing. Evan's wing. Not his room. His wing. They walked down a long hallway. Tessa noticed things. Small things. A door left slightly open when all the others were closed. A faint scuff on the baseboard near a corner. A security camera angled wrong, like someone had bumped it and never fixed it. The woman stopped outside a door. This is Evan's room. Yours is next door. Bathroom between. If you need anything, press the call button. Someone will come. She left before Tessa could ask questions. Tessa stood alone in the hallway. Too quiet, too clean, like someone had scrubbed away evidence instead of dirt. She opened Evan's door slowly. The room was large, organized. A hospital bed, a desk, bookshelves, a window overlooking the garden. And in the center, Evan sat in his wheelchair, staring at the wall. Hey, Tessa said softly. Evan didn't turn, but his fingers tapped the armrest. 1, 2, 3. The same rhythm from the gala. Tessa stepped inside, closed the door, looked around. Something was wrong. The bed was too neat, the books too straight, the curtains pulled at the exact same angle on both sides. It didn't look lived in. It looked staged, like someone had set the scene and waited for her to notice. Tessa's survival rule kicked in. Observe quietly, write notes in code. She walked to the window, looked down at the garden, saw a man in a suit standing near the hedge, smoking, watching the house, watching her window. A hand touched her shoulder. Tessa spun around, heart slamming. A guard stood behind her, tall, expressionless. His hand hovered near her waist. Just guiding you. Mississippi, Mr. Corvino wants to see you downstairs. Tessa stepped away, refused the touch. I can walk myself. The guard smiled, amused. Of course. He left, but the amusement stayed in the air like a threat. Tessa turned back to Evan. He was watching her now, really watching. His fingers had stopped tapping. His eyes said something she couldn't translate yet. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Down the hall. Too heavy. Too fast. Tessa walked to the door, pressed her ear against it. Voices. Low. Urgent. She's here now. We move tonight. Vincent won't. Vincent's dying. He's got 3 weeks, maybe less. After that, the kid's ours. Silence. Then footsteps moving away. Tessa's hands shook. She turned back to Evan. He was staring at the door now, like he'd heard it too, like he'd been hearing it all along. If you've ever felt trapped by a good offer, hit like so more people see this. Tessa opens the bedroom door and finds a body staged like a sentence with no words. The door to the guest room swung open. Tessa's hand was still on the handle when she saw him. A man, face down on the floor. Blood pooled beneath his chest, dark and still. His arms were arranged wrong, too perfect, too deliberate. Like someone had posed him. This wasn't an accident. This was a message. Tessa's breath caught. Her legs locked. She wanted to scream, but her voice died in her throat. She stepped back into the hallway, pulse hammering, and nearly ran into a guard. "Stay here," he barked. Then he saw the body. His face went hard. He grabbed his radio. Code red. 2nd floor. Lock it down. Within minutes, the estate erupted. Boots pounded through hallways. Doors slammed. Phones were taken. Exits watched. Vincent's team moved like soldiers, not staff. Tessa stood frozen in the corridor, hands shaking. She couldn't call the police. Couldn't even trust the house doctor yet. Because whoever did this had access. Keys. Timing. Inside knowledge. Vincent appeared at the top of the stairs. His face was pale, jaw tight. He looked at the body, then at Tessa. "You okay?" She nodded. Barely. Vincent's hand shot out, gripped her shoulder. Hard. Panic flashed in his eyes. Raw, unfiltered. Before he caught himself, his fingers loosened. He pulled back like the touch burned him. "Sorry," he said. The word sounded expensive, like it cost him pride to say it out loud. Tessa swallowed. Who was he? One of mine. Why? Vincent's jaw clenched. To show they can reach my son whenever they want. The words landed cold. Final. Tessa turned toward Evan's room. The door was still closed, but she could hear it. Silence. Too much silence. The kind that meant shutdown. She pushed the door open slowly. Evan sat in his wheelchair, facing the wall. His hands were pressed flat against his thighs. His breathing was shallow, uneven. He wasn't tapping, wasn't moving, just frozen. Tessa crossed the room, didn't speak right away. She crouched beside him, out of his line of sight, and tapped the floor. 1, 2, 3. Slow, steady. The rhythm he knew. Evan's head tilted. Just a little. His fingers twitched. Tessa kept tapping. No words. No pressure. Just presence. After a long moment, Evan's hand lifted. He tapped his armrest. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm matched hers. Tessa's chest loosened. He was still here. Still with her. Behind her, Vincent stood in the doorway, watching. His face unreadable. But something in his eyes softened. Just for a second. He trusts you, Vincent said quietly. He shouldn't trust anyone in this house. Neither should you. Tessa looked up at him. Then why am I here? Vincent didn't answer. Just turned and walked back into the hallway. Tessa stayed with Evan. Kept the rhythm going. Kept him grounded while the house tore itself apart looking for the person who'd already escaped. Hours later, when the body was gone and the blood scrubbed clean, Tessa walked back to her room. She passed 2 staff members in the corridor. They stopped talking the second they saw her. But she heard her name before they went quiet. One of them whispered it like a warning. The other whispered it like a bet. Tessa kept walking. Didn't look back. But her skin prickled. She wasn't just a witness anymore. She was a piece on the board. And someone was already planning their next move. In this house, the smallest mistake can get you buried. So Tessa starts hunting for mistakes on purpose. Tessa stopped sleeping. Instead, she watched, learned, tracked. She noticed the security shifts changed every 6 hours. But one guard always left early. She noticed certain doors were left unlatched at night, like someone was creating pathways. She noticed who appeared right after the rotations ended, always the same 2 faces. And she noticed Evan. He reacted to specific footsteps. Not all of them, just certain ones. His body would go rigid. His fingers would stop tapping. His eyes would track the hallway like he was waiting for something bad. Tessa started logging the timing. Wrote it down in a small notebook she kept hidden in her pillowcase. She used code. Initials. Numbers. Nothing anyone could read if they found it. One morning, she found something that didn't belong. A laundry tag in Evan's room. Small. White. Printed with a company name she didn't recognize. She checked the estate's service records. The company wasn't on the list. Someone had been in Evan's room. Someone who wasn't supposed to be there. Tessa pocketed the tag and kept moving. Later that day, she walked past the staff bathroom. The marble floor was dry, polished, except for one spot near the corner, a single wet footprint. Fresh, like someone had run through. Tessa crouched down, touched the edge of the print. Still damp. Whoever left it had moved fast. And they'd been here less than 10 minutes ago. She stood, heart pounding, and turned the corner. Vincent was waiting. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes locked on her. Looking for something? Tessa's pulse spiked. Just walking. You walk like you're hunting. Maybe I am. Vincent pushed off the wall, stepped closer. His voice dropped low. Private. Dangerous. If you're lying, you die. If you're right, you might still die. The danger in his honesty feels intimate. Tessa held his gaze. Then I guess I better be right. Vincent's mouth curved. Not a smile. Something sharper. Show me. She led him back to Evan's room. Pulled out the laundry tag. Showed him the company name. Watched his face go cold. That's a service my cousin uses, Vincent said quietly. Your cousin. Family. The kind you can't fire. Tessa's stomach dropped. Someone in your family is feeding information. Vincent didn't answer, but his silence said everything. He turned to leave, then stopped. Looked back at her. You're smart. Too smart for your own safety. But I'd rather have you sharp than stupid. It wasn't a compliment. It was a warning wrapped in respect. Tessa went back to her room that night, checked her notebook, added more notes, more names, more patterns. Then she saw something else. A staff member walked past her window, pulled a second phone from his pocket, typed something fast, slipped it into a trash liner by the service entrance. Tessa's breath caught. The leak wasn't just one person. It was a network. The fries look normal, but they smell wrong. Like chemicals hiding under salt. Breakfast was supposed to be safe. Routine. Eggs. Toast. Coffee. Nothing complicated. But the second the server set the plate down in front of Vincent, Tessa's stomach twisted. The fries looked fine. Golden. Crisp. But the smell was off. Sharp. Chemical. Like bleach trying to hide under grease and salt. The server moved too carefully. Hands too steady. Eyes too focused. Like he was delivering a bomb instead of breakfast. Tessa didn't think. She just moved. Her hand shot out, knocked the plate across the table. It hit the floor hard. Shattered. Fries scattered like evidence. The server's face went blank. No surprise. No panic. Just cold calculation. Chaos erupted. Guards surged forward, grabbed the server, slammed him against the wall. Evan screamed from the noise, hands over his ears, body shaking. Tessa ran to him, crouched low, started the rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Tried to bring him back. But Vincent wasn't listening to Evan. He was staring at his coffee cup. The one he'd already lifted. The one he'd already sipped. Tessa's blood went cold. Vincent set the cup down slowly. His hand didn't shake. But his eyes met hers, and she saw it. Fear. Real fear. The server smiled. Didn't fight. Didn't speak. Just smiled like he'd already won. A guard shouted for the doctor. Another grabbed the server's arm, twisted it hard. The man didn't flinch. Just kept smiling. Vincent's jaw clenched. He stood, legs unsteady. Tessa moved fast, grabbed his burned hand from the plate, pulled him to the sink, turned the cold water on, held his hand under the stream. Don't, Vincent said. I'm fine. You're not. Tessa, shut up and let me help you. Vincent went quiet. Let her hold his hand under the water. His skin was hot, blistered, but he didn't pull away, just watched her face like he was memorizing it. The doctor arrived, checked Vincent's vitals, checked the coffee. His face went tight, just for half a second. Then he smoothed it over, professional and calm. "Anything?" Vincent asked. The doctor hesitated. "We'll run tests." "How long?" 20 minutes. "And if there's poison?" The doctor's face stayed neutral, but his voice cracked just a little. "No antidote." The room went silent, louder than shouting. Tessa's grip tightened on Vincent's wrist. She felt his pulse under her fingers. Fast, uneven, alive. For now. Vincent looked at her. Really looked. His voice dropped to a rough whisper. "If I die, they'll come for him." The words hit like a confession. Too close. Too real. Tessa nodded once. "Then don't die." Vincent's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Then his face went pale, and he gripped the counter to stay upright. Comment lock in. If you think the target was never the sun. Tessa hears the lie the way you hear a wrong note in a song you know by heart. Vincent's symptoms started slow. Nausea. Sweating. Hands shaking when he thought no one was looking. Then the pain hit. Sharp. Deep. The kind that makes breathing feel like work. The doctor came and went. Took notes. Avoided eye contact. Spoke in circles. "What's in his system?" Tessa asked. "We're still testing." "What are the symptoms pointing to?" "Too early to say." "What's the treatment plan?" "We're monitoring." Every answer felt like a dodge. Every word felt rehearsed. Tessa tested him. Asked the same question twice, hours apart. Got two different answers. The first time he said Vincent's heart rate was stable. The second time he said it was elevated. Both couldn't be true. She watched him refuse to document anything. Watched him avoid specifics. Watched him check his phone too often, like he was waiting for instructions. Evan noticed too. He refused the doctor's touch. Turned his head away every time the man entered the room. Clung to Tessa's rhythm instead, tapping his armrest like a lifeline. That night, Vincent called Tessa to his room. He was sitting up in bed, shirt soaked through with sweat. His skin was pale, eyes glassy, but his voice was sharp, clear. Pain made him meaner, more honest. "Come here," he said. Tessa crossed the room, stayed a few feet back. "Closer." She stepped forward. Vincent grabbed her wrist, pulled her down until her ear was near his mouth. His breath was hot, uneven. The closeness hit like a confession. "If I die," he whispered, "they'll come for him. You understand." "I understand." "Swear it." "I already did." Vincent's grip loosened. His hand slid down her arm, lingering for a second too long. "I don't trust anyone's hands on me anymore." His eyes locked on hers, asking a question he wouldn't say out loud. Tessa's chest tightened. "Then trust mine." Vincent stared at her. Long, hard. Then he let go. Tessa stood, turned to leave. Then she heard it. A sound. Faint. Mechanical. Like something sliding open beneath the floor. Evan sat up in his chair across the hall. His head tilted. His fingers stopped tapping. He was listening too. Tessa walked to the center of the room, crouched down, pressed her ear to the floor. There it was again. Metal on metal. A door. A hatch. Something hidden. She looked at Vincent. "You hear that?" He nodded. Slowly. "There's a room. Under the house." "What's in it?" Vincent's face went dark. "Proof." Vincent comes home bleeding, and the house realizes the waitress is the only steady hand left. The call came at 3 a.m. Vincent had been ambushed. The doctor was gone, and the house was about to find out what a waitress could do with a needle and thread. They carried him through the side entrance. Blood soaked through his shirt, dripped onto the marble floor. His face was pale, jaw clenched tight. 2 guards flanked him, useless now that the fight was over. Tessa met them in the hallway. "Lay him down." Kitchen table. "Now." No one moved. "Now," she repeated. Louder. They obeyed. Laid Vincent flat on the table. Blood pooled beneath him, spreading like a stain. Tessa grabbed towels, antiseptic, the first aid kit from the cabinet. Her hands didn't shake. She'd done this before. Not for men like Vincent, but for her sister after a bad fall. For her mom after a clumsy accident with a knife. Poverty taught her how to stitch before hospitals got involved. She cut Vincent's shirt open. The wound was deep, angry. A blade, not a bullet. Someone had gotten close. Too close. Vincent hissed through his teeth. Don't. Shut up. Tessa. I said shut up. She cleaned the wound. Fast. Efficient. Stitched it closed with hands that knew what to do even when her mind wanted to panic. Vincent's breath came hard, but he didn't move, didn't flinch, just watched her face the whole time. When she finished, she tied off the last stitch and stepped back. Blood covered her hands, her arms, her borrowed nightshirt, but the bleeding had stopped. Vincent caught her wrist, gentle this time. His eyes locked on hers, and the heat in that gaze scared her more than the blood. You just saved my life. Don't get used to it. Vincent's mouth curved, almost a smile. Too late. Tessa pulled her hand free, but her pulse hammered. The room felt too small, too warm, like the air had changed. She grabbed Vincent's jacket from the chair, checked the pockets out of habit. That's when she saw it. A fiber, dark green, thick, caught in the seam near the shoulder. She held it up to the light. This doesn't belong to any room in this house. Vincent's face went cold. What? This fiber. It's from a different carpet. Different fabric. Whoever ambushed you, they were inside your perimeter. They were close enough to plan it. Vincent sat up slowly, wincing. Show me. Tessa handed him the fiber. He studied it, jaw tight. Then he looked at her. Really looked, like he was choosing to trust her for the first time. You're not just smart, Vincent said quietly. You're dangerous. Good. Vincent's gaze lingered. The air between them felt charged. Intimate. Wrong and right at the same time. Behind them, a guard cleared his throat. Sir, we secured the perimeter. But what? There's a woman. Upstairs. On the balcony. Watching. Tessa turned toward the hallway. Walked to the mirror. Looked up. A woman stood on the balcony. Smiling. Arms crossed. Calm. Like she'd been waiting for them to notice. Evan appeared in his wheelchair at the top of the stairs. He saw the woman. Turned his head away fast. Like the scent hurt. Tessa's stomach dropped. Because she knew that scent. Clove. Heavy. Sweet. The same smell from the doorframe the night Vincent started dying. Subscribe and comment. Who inside that house is feeding information, staff, security, or family? Vincent slides a document across the table and says, This keeps my son alive after I'm gone. What if love shows up as paperwork? Have you ever accepted protection that felt like a cage? She's being pushed into power with no training. Stay because the signature triggers the next hit. The paper sat between them. Clean. Official. Terrifying. Not a job offer. Not a contract. A marriage certificate. Tessa stared at it. What is this? Your promotion, Vincent said. Voice flat. No romance. No softness. Just business wrapped in survival. This isn't funny. It's not a joke. Tessa's hands shook. She pushed the paper back across the table. You want me to marry you. I want you to protect my son. Legally. Permanently. After I'm gone. The words landed heavy. Final. Like he'd already accepted his death and was just cleaning up loose ends. Why me? Tessa asked. Because you're the only person in this house who sees him as human. The only one he trusts. And trust isn't something I can buy or force. Tessa stood, paced to the window, looked out at the garden. The same garden where someone had staged a body to send a message. The same garden where Evan had shut down from fear. You're dying, she said quietly. Yes. And you think a piece of paper will keep him safe? Vincent leaned forward. I think next of kin status will keep vultures from circling. I think guardianship papers will stop family from putting him in a facility where he'll disappear. I think legal authority will give you the power to make decisions when I can't. Tessa turned back to face him. So I become your wife to save your son. You become his guardian to save his life. The marriage is just the fastest legal path. And what do I get? Vincent's eyes went dark. You get to keep your word. You swore you'd protect him. Tessa's chest tightened. He was right. She had sworn. In that ballroom. In this house. Every time she tapped that rhythm with Evan's fingers. But marriage. That was different. That was permanent. That was... I won't be your cover story, Tessa said. You'll be his lifeline. I won't pretend to be something I'm not. Vincent stood, walked around the table. Stopped close. Too close. I'm not asking you to love me, Tessa. I'm asking you to choose him. Again. Her breath caught. The air felt tight. Charged. Vincent picked up the pen. Held it out to her. Sign it. Or walk away. But if you walk, know that the second I'm dead, they'll take him. And no one will fight for him the way you do. Tessa looked at the pen. Her hand trembled as she reached for it. Vincent's hand covered hers before she could grip it. Just for 1 second. Steady. Warm. Too intimate for a business deal. This is real, Vincent said quietly. The second you sign, your family. And family gets targeted. Tessa met his eyes. Then I guess I better learn how to fight. Vincent's mouth curved. Almost a smile. He let go. Stepped back. Let her decide. Tessa picked up the pen. Signed her name. Clean. Final. Irreversible. The door burst open. A guard stood there, face pale. Sir, we have a problem. What? A staff badge is missing. And the east corridor door was open for 3 minutes during the last rotation. Vincent's jaw clenched. He looked at Tessa. Welcome to the family. Comment. Would you sign it or walk away? At 2:17 a.m., Tessa finds Vincent awake, staring at the hallway like he's waiting to be finished off. Tessa couldn't sleep either. She tried. Laid in bed. Stared at the ceiling. Listened to the house breathe. But every creak felt like a threat. Every shadow felt like movement. She got up. Walked the hallway. Checked on Evan. He was asleep, finally, one hand hanging off the side of his wheelchair. Peaceful. Safe. For now. Then she saw the light under Vincent's door. She knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Still nothing. So she pushed the door open slowly. Vincent sat in a chair by the window. Not moving. Just staring at the hallway through the crack in the door. His shirt was soaked with sweat. His hands gripped the armrests like he was holding himself upright through sheer will. You should be sleeping, Tessa said. Can't. Why? Because the last time I closed my eyes in this house, I woke up poisoned. Tessa stepped inside. Closed the door. Crossed the room. Vincent didn't look at her. Just kept staring at that hallway like death might walk through any second. Talk to me, Tessa said. About what? The poisoning. You said it was timed. Vincent's jaw clenched. I had a meeting. Big one. Territory dispute. Money on the table. Power shifting hands. Someone wanted me weak before I walked into that room. Who knew about the meeting? 5 people. 3 are dead now. One's my cousin. One's you. Tessa's stomach dropped. You think I... No. Vincent finally looked at her. But someone close to you might have access. Tessa thought about her phone. The Notes app. The messages she'd been typing. The feeling that someone had been watching her screen. She walked to Vincent's nightstand. Picked up his medicine bottle. Twisted the cap. Felt the faint residue on the threads. Sticky. Chemical. This was tampered with, she said. Vincent nodded. I know. When? Yesterday. Maybe the day before. Hard to tell when you're dying slow. His voice was flat. Too calm. Like he'd accepted it already. On the table, a glass of water sat untouched. A single ice cube melted inside. Water ticking into the glass like a clock counting down. Tessa set the bottle down. You're not dying. Tessa. You're not. Not on my watch. Vincent's eyes locked on hers. I don't trust anyone's hands on me anymore. The words came out rough. Honest. Like he was asking a question he couldn't say out loud. Tessa stepped closer. Then trust mine. Vincent stared at her. Long hard, like he was deciding whether survival was worth the risk of letting someone in. Then Evan made a sound. Not loud, just a small noise from across the hall. Like he'd heard something. Tessa turned. Walked to the door. Listened. There it was. Faint. Mechanical. Like metal sliding against metal. Coming from below the floor. What is that? Tessa whispered. Vincent stood slowly. Walked to the center of the room. Pressed his ear to the floor. There's a room. Under the house. I built it when Evan was born. In case someone came for him. What's in it? Vincent looked at her. Proof. Files. Evidence. Everything I need to prove who's been selling me out. Then let's go. Vincent shook his head. Not yet. If they know we're looking, they'll move faster. And if we wait, you'll be too weak to fight back. Vincent's face went hard. Then he nodded once. Tomorrow. We go tomorrow. Tessa walked back to the door. Stopped. Looked back at him. Get some sleep. Can't. Try. Vincent's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. You're bossy. You're stubborn. Good thing we're married. The word hit different now. Real. Permanent. Dangerous. Tessa left. Walked back to her room. But she didn't sleep either. Just listened to the house. Listened for that sound again. That mechanical hum beneath the floor. The elevator behind a bookshelf opens. And cold air rises like a warning. Morning came gray and quiet. Tessa found Vincent in his office. He looked worse. Pale, sweating, breathing shallow. But his eyes were sharp. Focused. Ready. You sure about this? Tessa asked. Vincent nodded. Evan knows the way. They brought Evan with them. He didn't speak. Just pointed. First at the bookshelf in the study. Then at a specific book third from the left. Red spine. Vincent pulled it. The shelf clicked. Slid open. Revealed a steel door with a keypad. Vincent punched in a code. The door hissed open. Cold air rushed up from below, smelling like concrete and metal. Tessa's skin prickled. An elevator. Small. Industrial. Built for emergencies, not comfort. They stepped inside. Vincent hit the button. The elevator dropped. Slow. Deliberate. Like descending into a secret the house had kept buried. When the doors opened, Tessa stepped into a room that felt like a bunker. Medical equipment. Filing cabinets. A desk. Monitors showing security feeds from every angle of the estate. You built this, Tessa said. The day Evan was born. I knew someone would come for him eventually. I just didn't know it would be family. Tessa walked to the filing cabinets. Pulled open the top drawer. Inside folders. Documents. Photos. Evidence stacked like ammunition. She pulled out a photo. Vincent. Younger. Standing next to a woman. Dark hair. Bright smile. Clove perfume practically radiating off the picture. Who's this? Tessa asked. Vincent's face went cold. Marisol. My cousin. Evan's godmother. Tessa's stomach dropped. She's been in the house. She never left. Tessa flipped through more files. Found bank transfers. Dates. Times. Proof that someone had been selling access to the estate for years. Selling schedules. Security gaps. Vincent's movements. On the desk, a monitor blinked. Tessa leaned closer. The security feed showed the upstairs hallway. But something was wrong. The footage looped. 8 seconds. Same movement. Guard walking past. Reset. Guard walking past again. Someone's manipulating the cameras, Tessa said. Vincent stepped behind her. Close. His breath touched her neck. She hated that her body noticed. Hated that even now, in the middle of danger, her pulse spiked when he stood too close. They've been doing it for months, Vincent said quietly. I just couldn't prove who. Tessa's phone buzzed. She pulled it out. A message. Unknown number. No words. Just a line of text that made her blood run cold. Stop digging or the boy goes next. Vincent asks Tessa one question. If I order it, can you lie for me? They stood in the bunker, the threat still glowing on Tessa's phone screen. Vincent took the phone from her hand. Read the message. Deleted it. We're done hiding, Vincent said. Now we test. Test who? Everyone. Vincent explained the plan. A fake emergency. A staged drill. A controlled scenario designed to watch who moved wrong. Who reacted too fast. Who avoided the trap. You want me to lie, Tessa said. I want you to act. Can you do that? Tessa thought about it. Thought about Evan. Thought about the body staged upstairs. Thought about the way this house ate honesty and spit out betrayal. Yes, she said. I can lie. Vincent's eyes held hers. Good. They set it up fast. Vincent called security. Said Evan had a medical emergency. Said they needed the house doctor immediately. Said the West Wing was off limits until further notice. Then they watched. From the bunker. Cameras showing every hallway. Every face. Every reaction. Most of the staff moved normal. Concerned. Focused. But two stood out. A guard near the east corridor overreacted. Grabbed his radio. Called someone before he was supposed to. His hands shook when he spoke. A housekeeper in the kitchen avoided the West Wing entirely. Took a longer route. Checked her phone twice. Then slipped into a service closet that wasn't part of her normal path. There, Tessa said, pointing at the screen. Those two. Vincent watched. Studied. Then nodded slowly. You're right. He turned to her. His face unreadable. But his voice dropped low. Near private. Intimate in a way that had nothing to do with romance and everything to do with trust. Good, he said. That single word hit harder than any compliment. Harder than any flirtation. Because it meant he saw her. Really saw her. Vincent made a call. 2 minutes later, security had both the guard and the housekeeper in separate rooms. Locked. Monitored. Contained. They'll talk, Vincent said. Or they won't. Either way, they're out of play. Tessa walked back to the elevator. Felt the weight of the day pressing down. Felt the shift happening. She wasn't just Evan's companion anymore. She was part of the operation. Part of the war. When she got back to her room, she hung her coat in the closet. Something fell out of the pocket. Small. Metal. Cold. A set of keys. Keys she'd never seen before. Keys she definitely didn't put there. Tessa's hands shook as she picked them up. Someone had been in her coat. In her room. Close enough to plant evidence or steal secrets. She walked to Vincent's office. Didn't knock. Just opened the door and dropped the keys on his desk. Vincent looked at them. Then at her. Where'd you get those? My pocket. But I didn't put them there. Vincent's jaw clenched. He picked up the keys. Studied them. These open the service gate. And the garage. And the side entrance Marisol uses. Tessa's stomach dropped. Someone's framing me. Or someone's setting you up to be the next body. Tessa kisses Vincent first because fear is easier to survive when it looks like hunger. That night, Tessa couldn't breathe right. The keys. The message. The body upstairs. The poisoning. The threats. It all pressed down like a weight she couldn't lift. She found herself at Vincent's door. Again. Didn't knock. Just walked in. Vincent stood by the window. Still awake. Still watching. Always watching. You should sleep, Tessa said. So should you. Can't. Vincent turned. Looked at her. What do you need? Tessa didn't know how to answer that. She didn't know what she needed. Safety. Honesty. Proof that this wasn't all for nothing. Proof that Evan would survive. Proof that she would survive. She stepped closer. Too close. Crossed the line she'd been holding since the day she arrived. I need to stop being afraid, she whispered. Vincent's eyes darkened. Fear keeps you alive. Or it kills you slow. She kissed him. Fast. Desperate. Not soft. Not romantic. Just raw need dressed up as hunger because fear was easier to survive when it wore a different face. Vincent froze. Then he grabbed her shoulders. Pushed her back. Not rough. Controlled. His grip firm but not cruel. Don't, he said. Tessa's breath came fast. Don't what? Don't use your body to bargain with me. The words hit like a slap. Clean. Honest. Brutal. I'm not. You are. You're scared. And you think giving me what I want will make you safer. It won't. Tessa's face burned. You don't know what I want. I know you're in panic mode. And I won't take you like this. Her lips tasted salt. Not sweetness. Stress, not romance. She wiped her mouth. Embarrassed, angry, confused. Vincent stepped closer, cupped her face with both hands, held her still, made her look at him. Breathe, he said. I am breathing. No, you're surviving. There's a difference. He made her breathe with him. Slow, steady, in and out. His hands warm against her cheeks. His eyes locked on hers. Consent and restraint wrapped together like intimacy. I want you, Vincent said quietly. But not like this. Not when you're using yourself as currency. Tessa's chest tightened. No man had ever stopped her before. No man had ever cared whether she was choosing or just coping. A gunshot cracked outside. Loud. Close. Followed by screaming from the west wing. Vincent dropped his hands. Grabbed his gun from the desk. Stay here. Not a chance. They ran together. Down the hall. Toward the screaming. Toward the chaos. Toward whatever fresh nightmare the house had decided to deliver next. A bodyguard is down, and the only witness is Evan. Shaking, pointing at a corner nobody is looking at. The west wing was supposed to be locked. Empty. Safe. But when Tessa and Vincent arrived, a guard lay on the floor, blood pooling beneath his head. Not moving. Not breathing. Evan sat in his wheelchair near the wall, shaking, his hand raised, finger pointed at the corner. Not at the body, at the corner, at something everyone else was missing. Evan, Tessa said quietly. She crouched beside him, didn't touch, just got low enough to meet his eye level. What did you see? Evan's mouth opened. No words came out, just a sound. Scared. Raw. Tessa followed his finger, looked where he pointed. A service door, cracked open. A fresh smear on the handle. Red. Still wet. There, Tessa said. Someone went through there. Vincent's men rushed the door. Guns drawn. Voices sharp. But when they kicked it open, nothing. Empty hallway. Cold air. No body. No weapon. Just the smell of gunpowder and something else, clove. The intruder hadn't stayed to fight. They'd come to send a message. To prove they could reach anyone. Anywhere. Anytime. Vincent grabbed Tessa's arm. Pulled her behind him. Instinct. Protection. His body shielding hers. She felt his heartbeat against her shoulder blade. Fast. Hard. Real. Stay close, Vincent said. I'm not going anywhere. His grip tightened for half a second. Then he let go. Moved forward. Checked the hallway himself. Tessa stayed with Evan. Started the rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Tapped the armrest beside his hand. Waited for him to join. He did. Slowly. His fingers matched hers. The panic in his eyes started to ease. A guard shouted from the hallway. Sir, you need to see this. Vincent disappeared around the corner. Came back 30 seconds later. His face hard. Cold. Dangerous. What? Tessa asked. Vincent pointed at the wall. A symbol. Drawn in oil. Dark. Deliberate. The same mark they'd found on the staged body weeks ago. Tessa's stomach dropped. They're marking their territory. No, Vincent said quietly. They're counting down. At the family meeting, a woman enters with sweet sympathy, and Evan turns his head away like the scent hurts. The meeting was called for damage control. Vincent's cousins, his uncle, a lawyer, all sitting around the long table in the main dining room. Polished, professional, pretending to care. Tessa sat beside Vincent, silent, observing. She'd learned to read rooms the way some people read books. Fast, looking for the parts that didn't fit. Then the door opened. A woman entered, late 40s, elegant, expensive perfume that hit the room like a wave. Clove, heavy, sweet, too strong. Evan reacted instantly, turned his head away. Body went rigid. Fingers stopped tapping. Like the scent physically hurt him. Tessa's pulse spiked. She watched the woman move. Calm, confident, smiling like she owned sympathy. Marisol Vieira, Vincent said, voice flat. My cousin. Evan's godmother. Marisol walked to the table, sat across from Tessa. Her eyes swept over Tessa like she was assessing livestock. You must be the new companion. Wife, Tessa corrected. Marisol's smile didn't reach her eyes. Of course. How sweet. She launched into condolences. Vincent's health. The attacks. The tragedy of it all. Every word performed. Every gesture rehearsed. Grief like jewelry worn for show, not felt. Tessa noticed things. Small things. A smear on Marisol's left shoe. Dark. Consistent with the kitchen spill from yesterday morning. Proof she'd been in parts of the house she shouldn't have accessed. Marisol asked questions. Casual. Pointed. How is Evan's routine these days? Still doing therapy on Tuesdays. Still using the West Wing for his sessions. Security details. Schedules. Access points. All dressed up as concern. Tessa's phone vibrated in her pocket. Once. Twice. Her coded notes app. Like it was warning her to stay quiet. Under the table, Vincent's hand found Tessa's knee. Squeezed once. Silent signal. Trust. Possession. Dangerous in a room full of people who'd sell them both for the right price. Tessa kept her face neutral. Answered Marisol's questions with lies. Changed days. Switched locations. Fed false information with a smile. Marisol leaned back in her chair. Satisfied. It's good to see Evan in capable hands. Vincent chose well. The meeting ended. People filed out. Marisol stayed behind. Walked to Tessa. Smiled. May I have a word? Privately? Vincent tensed. Tessa squeezed his hand under the table. It's fine. Tessa. I can handle it. Vincent looked at her. Long hard. Then nodded once. Marisol led Tessa to a smaller sitting room. Closed the door. And the mask came off. Comment. Do you think Marisol is guilty? Or is she bait? Marisol smiles and says, You don't belong here. Like she's offering advice instead of a threat. Marisol poured herself tea. Didn't offer Tessa any. Just sat in the chair by the window and smiled. You don't belong here. The words came out soft. Kind. Like advice from a mentor instead of a threat from an enemy. I'm exactly where I need to be, Tessa said. Are you? Marisol sipped her tea. You're a waitress. You had debts. A sick mother. A sister in state care. You were desperate. Vincent saw that. He always sees weakness. Tessa's jaw tightened. He saw someone who cared about his son. He saw someone he could control. You don't know me. Marisol leaned forward. I know women like you. You think marrying into this family makes you safe. It doesn't. It makes you a target. Accidents happen to outsiders. All the time. The marriage paper won't save you when they come. Tessa's hands stayed steady in her lap. But her mind raced. Recording. Cataloging. Every word. Every shift in tone. Why are you telling me this? Tessa asked. Because I liked you. First. You were kind to Evan. That's rare. But kindness doesn't survive in this house. You'll learn that. Or you'll die learning it. Marisol stood. Walked to the door. Stopped. Vincent's dying. The poisoning bought us time, but not much. When he's gone, the estate will need new leadership. Evan will need proper care. A facility. Professional support. Not a waitress playing house. Tessa stood slowly. Evan's not going anywhere. Marisol smiled. We'll see. She left. Door clicking shut behind her. Tessa stood alone in the sitting room. Pulse hammering. Mind spinning. She pulled out her phone. Opened the voice memo app. Played back the last 10 minutes. Every word. Clear. Recorded. Evidence. Then she walked back to Vincent. He was in his office. Saw her face. Read it instantly. Stood. Crossed the room. Stopped close. Too close. Tell me everything, he said. Voice low. Soft. A promise and a command wrapped together. Tessa told him. Word for word. Watched his face go colder with each sentence. Watched his hands curl into fists. Watched him fight the rage underneath. When she finished, Vincent was silent. Then he reached out, brushed a strand of hair from her face, stopped halfway, like he was fighting himself, like touching her was dangerous in ways that had nothing to do with the war outside. "You're brave," he said quietly. "Braver than you should be." "I'm scared." "Good. Fear keeps you sharp." Tessa walked back to her room, closed the door, checked her coat, her drawers, her bed, looking for anything planted, anything wrong. That's when she found it, taped under her dresser, small, black, a tiny listening device, still active, still recording. Her hands shook as she pulled it free. Someone had been listening to every word, every plan, every private moment. Vincent offers Tessa a way out, and she shocks herself by saying no. Vincent stood in the doorway, watching Tessa hold the listening device, his face unreadable, but his voice was soft, tired, human in a way she'd never heard before. "Leave," he said. Tessa looked up. "What?" "Leave now. Tonight. I'll pay your mom's bills through the year. Relocate your sister to a better facility. Clear your debts. Give you enough cash to start over somewhere safe. Just go." Tessa stared at him. "You're letting me out? I'm giving you a choice. Before it's too late." She should have said yes. Should have packed her bag. Run. Saved herself. That's what smart people did. That's what survivors did. But Evan's face flashed in her mind. The way he'd pointed at that corner. The way he'd tapped the rhythm with her fingers. The way he'd turned his head when Marisol walked in, like he knew. Like he'd always known. "No," Tessa said. Vincent's eyes widened. "Just a little." "What?" "I'm staying." "Tessa. If I leave, Evan's alone. You're dying. Your cousin's circling. And no one else in this house sees him as human. So no, I'm not leaving." Vincent crossed the room. Stopped close. "You'll die here. Maybe. But at least I'll die knowing I chose something that mattered." Vincent's gaze held hers. Intense. Searching. "Why?" "Because someone has to fight for him. And it's not going to be them." Silence. Heavy. Charged. Then Tessa spoke again. "Feed the mole a false schedule. Make it believable. Watch who reacts. We find the leak. We cut it off." Vincent's mouth curved. Almost a smile. "You think like a soldier. I think like someone who's tired of being hunted." Her burned hand throbbed. Phantom pain from the poisoned breakfast. Her body remembering the first time she'd chosen him. Chosen this. Chosen war. Vincent's voice dropped. Low. Intimate. Dangerous. "You're brave in a way my men can't afford." His gaze lingered. The air between them felt tight. Charged. Too small for the heat building underneath. They set the trap. Tessa typed a fake message in her notes app. A false schedule. Evan's therapy session moved to Thursday. West Wing. 2 p.m. Details that sounded real but weren't. Then they waited. Watched the cameras. Tracked who moved. Who called. Who reacted. Within an hour, Marisol's driver appeared at the service gate. Early. Unscheduled. Checking the West Wing like he had permission. The false schedule had leaked. Fast. Clean. Proof the traitor wasn't just close. They were inside Tessa's phone. Inside her life. The convoy leaves the gate. Then the lead car explodes before it reaches the highway. The meeting was set for noon. Off-site. Neutral ground. Vincent, 3 guards, and Tessa. The plan was simple. Negotiate territory, show strength, come home alive. But the convoy never made it to the highway. The lead car was 50 feet ahead. Tessa watched it through the windshield. Black SUV. Tinted windows. Moving steady. Then, the explosion tore through the air. Fire. Metal. Glass. The lead car lifted off the ground. Flipped. Crashed back down in pieces. Smoke poured from the wreckage. Tessa's driver slammed the brakes. The car skidded. Stopped. Chaos erupted. Guards shouting. Guns drawn. Vincent on the radio, voice sharp, ordering a lockdown. "Backup route," Vincent said. "Now." The driver turned. Took a side road. Away from the smoke. Away from the bodies. But Tessa's mind was already racing. because only 3 people had known about the convoy. Vincent, the head of security, and her. They knew, Tessa said. They always know, Vincent replied. His voice was tight, strained, his face pale. The shock of the explosion was worsening his symptoms. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His hands shook. No, Tessa said. They knew the backup route too. That route was added this morning. Only 3 people were told. Vincent looked at her. Realization dawning. You, me, and who else? Vincent didn't answer. His jaw clenched. His breathing went shallow. He was putting it together. The leak wasn't random. It was personal. They made it back to the estate. Barely. Vincent stumbled getting out of the car. Tessa caught him. Held him upright. His body was too hot. Fever burning through him. He pulled her close. Not romantic. Survival clothes. His arms wrapped around her like she was the only thing keeping him standing. Then he let go. Fast. Like he was afraid of needing her too much. You're one of the 3, Vincent said quietly. How did they access your route? Tessa pulled out her phone. Opened the settings. Scrolled through the apps. That's when she saw it. A tracking app. A family safety feature she'd never installed. Active. Running in the background. Sending her location. Her notes. Her messages. Everything. It's not me, Tessa whispered. It's my phone. Vincent grabbed the device. Checked the app registration. His face went dark. This was installed remotely. Someone with admin access. Someone close. Who? Vincent looked at her. And for the first time she saw fear. Real fear. Marisol has admin access to the estate's tech. She set it up when Evan was born. Said it was for emergencies. Tessa's blood ran cold. She's been watching me since the day I arrived. Hit like and subscribe as we continue, as you won't want to miss out what happens next, because the traitor gets named, and the marriage becomes a weapon. Tessa realizes the leak came from her pocket, not the house. Tessa stared at her phone like it had betrayed her, because it had. The Notes app was open to a screen she'd never typed. Lines of text she didn't write. Details about Evan's schedule. Times. Locations. Dates. All wrong. All fake. But someone had been reading them like they were real. Someone had been inside her life. Watching. Copying. Stealing. Vincent stood behind her in the bunker. Close. Too close. His voice dropped low. Show me. Tessa handed him the phone. Watched his face go dark as he scrolled through the app. This was accessed remotely. 3 times today. Someone's been peeking through your screen like a window. Can you trace it? Already did. The access came from inside the estate. Same network. Same system Marisol controls. Tessa's stomach dropped. She's been watching me this whole time. Since the day you signed the marriage papers. Maybe before. Tessa's hands shook. Every private thought she'd typed. Every note she'd coded. Every schedule she'd planned. Marisol had seen it all. Vincent stepped closer. His breath touched her neck. His voice went even lower. Intimate. Dangerous. Tell me you're staying. It wasn't a question. It was a need. Like he couldn't fight this war without her anymore. I'm staying, Tessa whispered. Even now? Even knowing she's been inside your head? Especially now. Vincent's hand landed on her shoulder. Just for a second. Warm. Steady. Then he pulled away like the touch cost him something. Tessa took the phone back. Opened a fresh note. Typed a fake line. Bold. Obvious. Evan's therapy moved to Saturday. East Wing. 10 a.m. Then she waited. Watched the house through the security feeds. Within 20 minutes, Marisol's driver appeared near the East Wing. Checked his watch. Looked around. Pulled out his phone. Typed something fast. The bait had been swallowed. Again. Upstairs. Evan refused to enter the hallway near Marisol's guest room. His wheelchair stopped at the corner. His hand lifted. Tapped his armrest. 1, 2, 3. Fast. Urgent. The rhythm he used when he sensed danger. Tessa crouched beside him. What do you feel? Evan didn't speak. Just pointed. At the door. At the air. at the scent that lingered like a warning. Clove. Heavy. Wrong. Vincent checked Tessa's phone settings. Scrolled deep. Found it. A tiny app buried in the system files. Family Safety Tracker. Green icon. Innocent name. Deadly purpose. He clicked on the registration. The account name appeared. Marisol Vieira. Administrator. Tessa's blood went cold. She's had access since day one. She set this up when Evan was born. Said it was for emergencies. I trusted her. She's family. Family's the most dangerous enemy. They know where you sleep. Vincent deleted the app. Scrubbed the permissions. Locked down Tessa's device with new security. But the damage was done. Marisol knew everything. Every move. Every plan. Every weak point. Tessa looked at Vincent. We need to flip this. How? Feed her what we want her to know. Make her think she's winning. Then watch her move. Vincent's mouth curved. Almost a smile. You're learning. I'm surviving. Same thing in this house. The head of security swears he's loyal. Yet his hands shake when Tessa says the word blackmail. Marcus Kane had worked for Vincent for 12 years. 12 years of loyalty. 12 years of silence. 12 years of standing between Vincent's family and the world that wanted them dead. But when Tessa said the word blackmail, his hands shook. They sat in a small room off the main hall. Just Tessa, Marcus, and the weight of everything unsaid. Vincent watched from the hallway through a cracked door. Listening. Learning. I'm not accusing you, Tessa said. Voice calm. Steady. No anger. Just facts. I'm asking. Marcus's jaw clenched. Asking what? How long have they been threatening your family? Silence. Heavy. Loud. Marcus looked at the floor. Then at the wall. Anywhere but her eyes. 2 months. Who? I don't know. They never showed their face. Just sent photos. My daughter. At school. At the park. Playing soccer. Every photo had a message. Keep the doors open, and she stays safe. Tessa's chest tightened. So you created access windows. Marcus nodded. Small ones. 30 seconds. Just enough for someone to slip through during shift changes. I didn't think. You didn't think they'd kill someone. Marcus flinched. I thought if I cooperated, they'd leave my kid alone. They never leave anyone alone. You know that. Marcus's hands curled into fists. What was I supposed to do? Let them hurt her? No. You were supposed to tell Vincent. Vincent would have fired me. Or worse. Tessa leaned forward. Vincent would have protected your daughter. The same way he's protecting his son. But you chose fear over trust. And that fear opened the door for a body to show up in the guest room. Marcus's face cracked. I didn't know they'd go that far. Now you do. Silence again. Then Marcus spoke. Quiet. Broken. Marisol's driver. He's been using the service gate. The one that doesn't log. He comes in 3 times a week. Always during my shift. Always through the east corridor. Tessa's pulse spiked. How long? Months. Maybe longer. And you never reported it. I couldn't. Not without admitting I'd been compromised. Tessa stood. Walked to the door. Stopped. Looked back. Your daughter's safe now. Vincent's moving her to a secure location tonight. But you're done here. Pack your things. Leave quietly. And pray Vincent decides mercy is worth more than revenge. Marcus's eyes went wide. He's letting me go? He's letting you live. Don't make him regret it. Tessa walked into the hallway. Vincent was waiting. He didn't speak. Just reached out. Brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. Stopped halfway. Like he was fighting himself. Like touching her was a line he couldn't cross without falling. You're good at this, Vincent said quietly. At what? Seeing people. Reading them. Making them talk without breaking them. I'm just asking questions. You're doing more than that. You're giving them a way out. My men don't do that. They corner and crush. You corner and save. Tessa's phone buzzed. She pulled it out. A text. Unknown number. No greeting. Just a line that made her blood run cold. Bring the boy to the garden at midnight. Tessa walks into the garden alone. and every shadow feels like a decision. Midnight came quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that felt like a trap waiting to spring. Tessa stood at the garden entrance. Alone. No guards. No Vincent. Just her and the message still glowing on her phone screen. She'd refused to move Evan. Refused to put him in danger. Instead, she'd built a decoy. A blanket. Pillow. Shaped like a body. Covered like a sleeping figure. Placed in a wheelchair she'd borrowed from storage. From a distance, in the dark, it looked real enough. Tessa pushed the chair forward. Slow. Steady. Every shadow felt like a decision. Every branch felt like a hand reaching. Every sound felt like a countdown. She stopped near the center of the garden. Waited. Listened. A gunshot cracked the silence. The bullet hit the wheelchair. Ripped through the blanket. Missed Tessa by inches. Proof they'd believed she would obey. Proof they'd expected Evan. Tessa dropped flat. Hit the ground hard. Her breath knocked out. Her heart hammering. Another shot. Closer. Hitting the stone path near her head. Chips of rock scattered like shrapnel. Then she smelled it. Clove. Heavy. Sweet. Too close. Tessa rolled. Looked up. Saw the edge of a familiar bracelet vanish between the hedges. Gold. Engraved. The same one Marisol wore at every family meeting. Footsteps. Running. Fast. Away from the garden. Vincent appeared from the side entrance. Grabbed Tessa. Pulled her into cover behind a stone bench. Chest to back. His hand flat over her heart. Feeling it pound. Quieting her breathing with his own. "You're okay," he whispered. "You're okay." But Tessa wasn't listening. She was staring at the ground near the hedge. A key fob. Dropped. Black plastic. Estate logo. Service gate access code printed on the back. She picked it up. Turned it over. Checked the date stamp. The code had been changed. Today. Hours ago. Right after the convoy attack. Someone had updated access. Someone with admin clearance. Someone who knew Vincent would tighten security and wanted a fresh way in. Tessa looked at Vincent. Marisol's not working alone. She's got someone inside security. Someone who can change codes in real time. Vincent's face went cold. "We end this. Tonight." Marisol doesn't deny it. She only asks, "Did you really think you were chosen?" They brought Marisol to the sitting room. Not rough. Not violent. Just firm. 2 guards. 1 on each side. She walked in like she was attending tea, not an interrogation. Vincent sat across from her. Tessa stood by the window, silent, watching. "You shot at my wife," Vincent said. Voice flat, cold, controlled. Marisol smiled. "Did I? Prove it. I have the key fob. Your bracelet was spotted. And the bullet trajectory matches the hedge you were hiding behind." Marisol's smile didn't fade. "That's circumstantial. You'd never make it stick. I don't need to make it stick in court. I just need to know the truth." Marisol leaned back in her chair, crossed her legs, sipped water from a glass like she had all the time in the world. "Fine. You want the truth?" "Yes. I've been selling access to this estate for years." "Yes. I arranged for your poisoning." "Yes. I've been feeding your rivals every move you make." The room went silent. Tessa's breath caught. She'd expected denial. Lies. Anything but a full confession delivered with a smile. "Why?" Vincent asked. "Because you were never supposed to inherit this estate, this business, this power. It was supposed to go to my father, then to me. But your father chose you instead. Chose the son who barely spoke to the family over the daughter who bled for it. So you tried to kill me. I tried to remove you. Cleanly. Quickly. The poisoning was supposed to look like stress. Natural causes. No investigation. Just a smooth transfer of power." Vincent's jaw clenched. "And Evan?" Marisol's smile widened. "Evan's better off in a facility. Professional care. Structure. He doesn't belong in this world. You know that." Tessa stepped forward. "He belongs wherever he's safe. Wherever he's treated like a person. Not a problem." Marisol laughed. Soft. Cold. "Did you really think you were chosen, Tessa?" You weren't chosen. You were convenient. A waitress with debts. Desperate enough to say yes. Useful enough to keep Evan calm. Vincent didn't marry you for love. He married you because you were the easiest tool to pick up. Tessa's face stayed calm. But inside, the words hit like a blade. Vincent's gaze shifted. Locked onto Tessa. Hot. Protective. Intense. He said her name once. Slow. Like a promise. Tessa. Then he looked back at Marisol. You're wrong. She wasn't convenient. She was necessary. And she's worth more than every person in this room combined. Marisol's smile finally cracked. You're dying, Vincent. In 2 weeks, you'll be gone. And when you are, I have a signed document challenging her guardianship. Evan will go where he belongs. And she'll go back to being nobody. Tessa's hand moved to her pocket, pulled out her phone, played the voice memo. Every word, every confession, clear, recorded, undeniable. Marisol's face went white. That's evidence, Tessa said quietly. Real evidence. The kind that sticks. Vincent stood, motioned to the guards. Lock her down. No calls. No visitors. No access to anything until the lawyers arrive. Marisol was dragged from the room, still smiling, still defiant. But the fear in her eyes was real. Vincent says, we do this tonight. And the house goes still. The document sat on Vincent's desk. Clean. Official. Final. A marriage certificate. Again. But this time it wasn't about survival. It was about power. We do this tonight, Vincent said. His voice left no room for argument. Tessa looked at the paper. We're already married. That was a contract. This is a legal strike. Marisol's document challenges guardianship based on timeline. She claims our marriage was rushed, coerced, invalid. If we remarry tonight, with witnesses, with documentation, with Evan present, we close the door on her challenge. And if we don't, then the courts decide. And courts love putting people like Evan in facilities where he's easier to control. Tessa's chest tightened. I have one condition. Vincent's eyes narrowed. What? Evan's rights get written into this. His choices. His voice. He's not property. He's not a pawn. He's a person. And this document reflects that. Vincent stared at her. Long, hard. Then he nodded. Done. The ceremony happened in a small room. 2 witnesses. A lawyer. Vincent. Tessa. And Evan, sitting in his wheelchair, watching everything with eyes that understood more than anyone gave him credit for. No music. No flowers. No vows about love or eternity. Just truth. Raw. Honest. Legal. Vincent slid the ring onto Tessa's finger. Slow. Deliberate. His hand steady even though his body was failing. He lifted her hand. Kissed her knuckles once. Whispered low enough that only she could hear. You're not property. But his eyes said something else. Something deeper. Hotter. Dangerous. But I want you anyway. Tessa's breath caught. The air between them felt too tight. Too charged. The lawyer handed over the signed documents. It's official. Legal. Binding. Vincent took the papers. Handed them to Tessa. Keep these safe. They're Evan's protection when I'm gone. Outside, 3 gunshots popped. Short. Sharp. Signal style. Vincent's face went hard. They're here. Who? Marisol's allies. The ones she promised access to. They're making their move now, while we're distracted. Tessa grabbed Evan's wheelchair. We lock down. Now. Vincent nodded. Pulled his gun. Checked the chamber. The wedding wasn't a celebration. It was bait. Comment Queen. If you've ever had to become brave without warning. The wedding isn't a celebration. It's bait. Vincent had planned it all. The ceremony. The timing. The witnesses. Every detail designed to draw Marisol's allies into the open. Make them think he was distracted. Vulnerable. Ready to be taken. But the trap went wrong. Guards flooded the east corridor. Guns drawn. Voices sharp. Tessa grabbed Evan's wheelchair. Pulled him behind the desk. Covered his ears with her hands. The noise was too much. Too loud. He was shutting down again. Stay with me, Tessa whispered. 1, 2, 3. Feel it. 1, 2, 3 inch. Evan's eyes locked on hers. His breathing slowed. Just a little. Enough. Outside the office, someone screamed. A gunshot cracked. Then another. Chaos erupted like a bomb had gone off inside the house. Vincent moved toward the door. Gun raised. Face cold. But his body was failing. Sweating. Shaking. The poison still eating him from the inside. Vincent, Tessa said. You can't. I can. I have to. You're dying. Then I die protecting my son. But before Vincent reached the door, it burst open. A guard stumbled in. Blood on his shirt. Panic in his eyes. Sir. Daniels turned. He's with them. He just shot Marcus. Vincent's face went dark. Where is he? West corridor. Moving toward the service entrance. Vincent turned to Tessa. Lock this door. Don't open it for anyone but me. Vincent. He crossed the room. Fast. Grabbed her face. Forehead pressed to hers for 1 second. Like he was trying to memorize the feel of her. The scent of her. The proof she was still alive. If I don't come back. You're coming back. Vincent's mouth curved. Almost a smile. You're stubborn. I learned from you. He let go. Walked to the door. Stopped. Looked back at Evan. Take care of him. Always. Vincent left. The door clicked shut. Tessa locked it. Turned back to Evan. He was watching her. Eyes wide. Scared. But trusting. We're okay, Tessa said. We're safe. But she didn't believe it. And Evan knew. Gunfire echoed through the hallways. Shouting. Running. The sound of bodies hitting walls. Tessa pulled Evan closer. Kept the rhythm going. 1, 2, 3. Over and over. A lifeline in the chaos. Then silence. Too sudden. Too complete. Tessa's pulse spiked. She moved to the window. Looked out at the garden. Saw nothing. Just shadows and moonlight. The door handle turned. Locked. Someone pushed. Hard. Then knocked. 3 times. Sharp. Tessa. Open up. Vincent's voice. But something was wrong. Too weak. Too strained. Tessa unlocked the door. Vincent stumbled in. Blood on his shirt. More blood on his hands. His face was pale. Lips almost gray. Did you get him? Tessa asked. He's gone. Escaped through the service gate. Are you hurt? Vincent didn't answer. Just walked to the chair. Sat down heavy. Pulled a handkerchief from his pocket. Coughed into it. Folded it fast before Tessa could see. But she'd already seen. Blood. Fresh. Dark. Too much. Vincent. I'm fine. You're not. I'm alive. That's enough for now. Tessa knelt beside him. Took his hand. It was cold. Too cold. You need a doctor. The doctor's gone. Remember. Then we get another one. Vincent looked at her. Really looked. Like he was seeing her for the first time. Or the last time. You saved him tonight. When everyone else was fighting, you saved Evan. That's all that matters. Tessa's chest tightened. Don't talk like you're leaving. I'm not. Not yet. But when I do. Stop. Vincent squeezed her hand. When I do, you keep fighting. You keep him safe. You keep being the person who chose courage over convenience. Tessa's eyes burned. But she didn't cry. Couldn't. Not yet. We're back where it started. Vincent in bed. Tessa holding the ring like it can hold time. 3 days later, Vincent couldn't pretend anymore. The poisoning had reached the point of no return. The house doctor was gone. The clock had won. Tessa sat beside the bed, holding his hand, feeling the ring press into her palm like evidence of everything they'd survived, everything they'd lost. Vincent's breathing was shallow, uneven. Each breath sounded like work, like his body was giving up one piece at a time. Tell me, Tessa said quietly. Tell you what? The truth. About Evan's injury. You said it wasn't bad luck. Vincent's eyes opened. Glassy. Distant. But focused enough. It was Marisol. She hired someone to cause the accident when Evan was 6. Made it look random. Car that ran a red light. But the driver was paid. Paid to hit Evan's side of the car. Paid to make sure he'd never walk right again. Tessa's stomach dropped. Why? Because she thought if Evan was broken enough, I'd put him in a facility. Give up custody. Make the estate easier to control. But I didn't. I kept him close. And it made her hate me more. Tessa's hands shook. She's been trying to take him for years. Yes, and now she's locked up. Caught. Finished. Because of you. Vincent squeezed Tessa's hand. Weak, but real. Say it. Out loud. So everyone hears. Say what? That Evan stays with you. Always. No matter who tries to take him. No matter what papers they bring. No matter what courts say. You fight. Tessa's throat tightened. Evan stays with me. Always. Louder. Evan stays with me. Always. Vincent nodded. Closed his eyes. Good. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Final. Then Vincent spoke again. Softer this time. Kiss me. Tessa looked at him. What? Kiss me. As my wife. Not my shield. Not my partner in war. Just my wife. Tessa leaned forward. Pressed her lips to his. Soft. Brief. Devastating. Because she knew it was goodbye. Vincent's hand came up. Touched her face. Just for a second. Then fell back to the bed. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Tessa picked it up. A voicemail. From Marisol. Left 10 minutes ago. Tessa played it. Marisol's voice came through. Calm. Cold. Confident. I'm coming to the bedroom. We need to talk. About Evan's future. About your mistakes. About everything you should have done differently. Tessa looked at Vincent. She's coming. Let her come. You're ready. Marisol walks in wearing grief like jewelry. Marisol entered the bedroom like she owned it. Black dress. Pearl necklace. Heels clicking soft against hardwood. Grief worn like a costume she'd practiced in the mirror. She looked at Vincent. Then at Tessa. Smiled. He's almost gone. You know that, right? Tessa stood. Stepped between Marisol and the bed. Get out. I'm family. I have a right to be here. You have no rights. Not anymore. Marisol's smile widened. You really think you won? A waitress playing house? You got lucky. That's all. Vincent needed someone desperate enough to say yes. And you fit the bill. Tessa's jaw clenched. I didn't get lucky. I got chosen. There's a difference. Chosen. Marisol laughed. Soft. Cruel. You were convenient. A warm body to keep Evan calm while Vincent handled real business. Don't mistake survival for success. Tessa pulled out her phone. Opened the voice memo app. Played the recording. Every word from their private talk. Every confession. Every threat. Clear. Undeniable. Marisol's face went pale. That's evidence, Tessa said quietly. The kind that puts you in prison. The kind that destroys your name. The kind that ends you. Vincent's men appeared in the doorway. Silent. Armed. Waiting. Marisol turned to them. You work for me. I pay your bonuses. I approve your shifts. One of the guards spoke. Voice flat. We work for the estate. And she's next of kin now. Legal. Binding. Witnessed. Marisol's mask cracked. Her voice went sharp. Hi. Desperate. I ordered that body in the guest room. I hired the poisoner. I changed the gate codes. But I did it to save this family. To save Evan from a life he can't survive. You can't blame me for seeing the truth. The room went silent. Confession delivered like justification. Tessa walked to Vincent's bedside. Took his hand. Held it with authority. The intimacy was public now. Real. Undeniable. And it terrified everyone watching. Take her, Tessa said. Voice calm. Controlled. Final. Vincent's men closed the doors. Locked them. Led Marisol out through the side entrance. Her voice echoed down the hallway. Screaming. Pleading. Blaming everyone but herself. Tessa turned back to Vincent. He was watching her. Eyes half closed. Mouth curved in something close to pride. You did it, he whispered. You won. We won. Vincent's hand squeezed hers. Barely. Don't let them make you kind. Stay sharp. Stay hard. That's how you keep him safe. Then his eyes closed. His breathing slowed. And Tessa sat there, holding his hand, feeling the ring press into her palm, knowing the war wasn't over, just paused. The night before the funeral, Tessa discovers loyalty is a currency, and she's rich in it now. The house felt different, quieter, heavier, like Vincent's death had changed the air itself. Tessa didn't sleep, didn't cry, just worked, reassigned security, locked down the service gate, changed all the codes, pulled Evan's routine into safe zones where cameras watched every corner. She called meetings, short, direct, no softness, just facts. The rival representatives came at midnight. 3 men in suits, polite, professional, dangerous. They sat in Vincent's office. Tessa sat behind his desk. The desk that used to belong to a man who ruled with fear. Now it belonged to a woman who'd earned respect the hard way. Evan is off limits, Tessa said, voice flat, final, permanently. Anyone who touches him, anyone who threatens him, anyone who even looks at him wrong, they answer to me. One of the men leaned forward. With all due respect, Mrs. Corvino, you're new to this world. You don't have the reputation to back up threats like that. I have Vincent's files. I have Marisol's confession. I have documentation of every dirty deal this family's touched in the last 10 years. And I have lawyers who know how to use it. So when I say Evan's off limits, I'm not asking. I'm telling. The men exchanged glances, then nodded, one by one. Understood. They left, quiet, respectful, scared. Tessa set consequences in motion for Marisol's betrayal. Clean, final, legal enough to hold, messy enough to leave no simple story for police. Marisol would spend years fighting charges she'd never fully escape. Alone in Vincent's office, Tessa pressed her fingers to the desk edge. The same desk where Vincent had slid the marriage papers across. The same desk where he'd looked at her like she mattered. Her chest cracked. The tears came fast. Ugly. Raw. All the fear and pain and exhaustion she'd been holding back for weeks. A guard appeared in the doorway, saw her crying, stepped forward to offer comfort. Tessa shook her head, stepped back. Don't. Ma'am. Only he earned that. Only Vincent. The guard nodded, left, closed the door, let her break in private. When the tears stopped, Tessa washed her face, fixed her hair, walked to Evan's room. He was sitting in his wheelchair by the window, watching the garden, waiting. Evan turned when she entered. His hand lifted, held out a folded piece of paper. Tessa took it, opened it slowly. Vincent's handwriting, messy, urgent, written for after he was gone. The note says, if you're reading this, you chose courage over fear. Tessa read the words twice, 3 times, trying to memorize them, trying to hold on to Vincent through ink and paper. If you're reading this, you chose courage over fear. You could have walked away 100 times, but you stayed. For him, for Evan. That makes you stronger than anyone I've ever known. Don't let them take that from you. Don't let them make you doubt. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Tessa folded the note, tucked it into her pocket, looked at Evan. He believed in me, so I'm going to believe in myself. Evan tapped his armrest. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm. Tessa smiled, tapped back. 1, 2, 3. 6 months later, the estate looked different. Safer, calmer. Tessa ran the house with quiet authority. No screaming. No threats, just clear boundaries and consequences that stuck. Her mom's oxygen bills were paid through the year. Her sister moved into a better group home, one with staff who listened, who cared, who saw her as human. Tessa fought for Evan's dignity daily, therapy that respected his needs, routines that honored his choices, a life that didn't treat him like a problem to be fixed. She learned power without softness is cruelty. But softness without boundaries gets people killed. So she walked the line, hard when she needed to be, gentle when it mattered more. One evening, Tessa stood in Vincent's office, the ring still on her finger. She lifted her hand, looked at it, kissed it softly, eyes closed. remembering the one kiss Vincent had asked for as her husband, not her shield. Evan appeared in the doorway, watching, waiting. Tessa turned to him. Ready for dinner? Evan nodded. They moved through the house together, past guards who nodded with respect, past staff who smiled with honesty, past rooms that used to feel like prisons but now felt like home. In the dining room, a new family photo hung on the wall. Tessa, Evan. Vincent's chair left empty. Not forgotten, just honored. Tessa helped Evan settle at the table, made sure his plate was arranged the way he liked, made sure the lights weren't too bright, made sure he had space to breathe. Then she sat beside him, looked at him, really looked. You know what saved you that night at the gala? Evan tilted his head, listening. Respect. I gave you choices instead of orders. I saw you as a person instead of a problem. And that's what's going to keep saving you. Every single day. In a world that wants to ignore you, I'm going to make sure you're heard. Evan's hand reached out, tapped the table. 1, 2, 3. Tessa tapped back. 1, 2, 3. Later that night, Tessa checked on Evan before bed. He was asleep, peaceful, safe, protected. She stood in the doorway, whispered the words she'd promised Vincent she'd never forget. Evan stays with me, always. Then she said something else, something Vincent would never hear, but something that needed to be said anyway. I stopped being a waitress the day I stood between you and the guards. I became a protector, and I'll never stop being that. Tessa walked to Evan's bedside, looked down at him, spoke softly, firmly, a promise and a vow wrapped together. Nobody drags you out of a room again. If you've ever been underestimated because of your job, hit like, subscribe, and comment the moment you knew Tessa stopped being a waitress and became the protector.